welcome back to Contenders China Season 3. We're now into week 4. I'm your host, Gio. I'm joined on the desk today by Panda and Vals as the big brains today. We're going to be kicking it off with the first game, which will be ReStart versus Alter Ego. Now, guys, these are the two bottom teams. They're virtually guaranteed to not make playoffs at this point. So what exactly is it that they're playing for today?
It's kind of like when when two of you are drowning together, you're kind of fighting with the other, keep your head above water for just a little bit longer. Whoever loses this game is going to be eliminated from playoff contention. They're going to be headed back to trials. The winner, they're going to stay alive for another week. They'll still have a chance to get into playoffs eventually if they can win next week, and the 4th place in the group loses. So there's still a little bit of potential for the winner on this to still make it into playoffs. So it is keeping your head above water effectively.
I kind of like that analogy too. You're fighting for that last noodle whacker in the well of the pool. These two teams are, but it's more to that noodle whacker, right? Just to keep yourself afloat that water. Teams, if they like what you're bringing to the table, they can end up picking you up as we're going into playoffs. That's always still an option going forward. You can still be trialed and still be looked at for the 2019 season.
I don't know what I was expecting this morning, but scrappy, like drowning analogies, I don't think was it.
Thanks, pals.
ReStart. They brought in a new Zarya player last week. He goes by the name Raphael, although last week we did know him as Delete Brig. There were some issues where he was maybe not supporting their main tank ones enough. Is this a synergy issue? Do you think maybe it could have been fixed by this week, or at least on its way to being fixed, or is it more of a fundamental problem with Raphael as a player?
I think one of the more important parts when you incorporate a Zarya into a role, when you're playing into a very tank-induced meta, regardless of how fancy your name was, it doesn't really matter, right? If you're desynced from your Reinhardt, you're playing for that charge. The Zarya, we've talked about it time and time again, regardless of the region. If you're playing for that charge on the Zarya, that over-aggressive Zarya, you're not going to be in that time for the cleansing bubble for your Reinhardt, so you're not going to be able to get that charge while helping out your Reinhardt, creating space, so that way you can then take all of that damage with your Reinhardt and go into the enemy team, completing the objective as it may be. I mean, this is a GOATS-driven meta. I'm sure everybody is known. When you are not playing out that Zarya role to its full potential is when you really leave your team behind.
Yeah. I do definitely feel like it is a little bit of a synergy issue rather than a more fundamental thing. Just off his playstyle, even if it was a little bit aggressive and desynced, he is definitely an upgrade for this roster over their previous Flex DPS of Fengyan. It's just a case of getting that little bit of synergy, getting that extra scrim time and reps in over the week, learning to play with your main tank a little bit more. I do think we're going to see a better performance from him today.
Do you think maybe we'll get to see him on some other heroes, or will it just mostly be Zarya?
I would prefer not to. I think ReStart look at their best when they play tanks.
I mean, it depends on the map, right? I mean, like, we can go to some fun maps to where maybe some different DPS could be played. I mean, maybe we might see some D.Va or some different track eccentric heroes like some Sombra, or if maybe there's not a Brig on the map, which I'm sure he would really enjoy, then he could play some Tracer even. I don't know. I know he likes to play McCree too.
We've seen Tracer in Contenders China so far. There is a chance. It's just, how successful it's going to be. But Alter Ego themselves, they sometimes play kind of a more solo queue style. And, the analysts so far haven't always been happy with some of the compositional changes they've made. So what kind of changes would you like to see come from Alter Ego going into this matchup?
I think you need to be prepared on a multitude of composites. Like I was just saying, depending on the map, as you're coming into all these different maps, we've seen a lot of different teams get stuck into a lot of forced compositions. I mean, you can see a lot of unwarranted compositions here in Chinese Contenders. We always talk about how the objective may not matter, the meta may not matter, regardless of the situation. You still have to play to what the strengths of the current state of Overwatch is in tow, and that's a lot of tanks. I remember all the way back in week 1 in particular for King Kong, it really stuck out to me on his Winston play, and you can really force, I guess, I don't know. I try my best not to go into these oats conversations, but when you start implementing the Winston instead of the Reinhardt with the triple tank, triple support, it really adds that extra oomph into your composition. So that way you can then take a lot of forward poke, and then you can go into the enemy backline. So that way you can then create space. The Zarya then can be your biggest damage dealer. And I think King Kong needs to realize that if you do prefer to play Winston, you can really force that composition more than anything.
I feel like when we're seeing King Kong moving off onto the Reinhardt and Wrecking Ball, that's more of a panic thing than anything. Alter Ego maybe getting their own heads a bit. If they can stay calm, keep King Kong on the Winston and just play around him, they've looked pretty decent when they run the Winston goats. Tower key on a straight-up dive composition, has pretty good synergy with King Kong as well. If you can keep King Kong and Winston, keep enabling him, that's probably going to be Alter Ego's best path to victory here.
Well, Alter Ego, they actually also have a new flex support called Aztec. He replaced B612, who we were really rooting for this redemption arc, but he has unfortunately left the team now. What do we think of Aztec so far?
It's really hard to say. In their series last week, Aztec and WinWinQ, his main support counterpart, were having a lot of issues just staying alive. Flag Gaming had a really aggressive dive with their tank compositions. And Aztec and WinWinQ were falling at the start of every fight. So we haven't had too much of a judgment where Aztec is actually struggling to stay alive. When he is alive, he looks okay, but it's how good his survivability is effectively. Building that little bit of synergy and communication to the rest of his team can peel with him. Going against Alter Ego, where one of their main strengths is that aggressiveness with Taro Cookie and King Kong diving together, having great synergy there. I'm not sure this series is going to go much better for Aztec or WinWinQ.
I think that the more important part here, when you're talking about this meta more than anything, regardless of the person itself playing the hero, is that when you implement a new main tank or main support, as it may be, or any support rather, that trust for your main tank has to be fulfilled. And when it's not there, it could be played out, but only time will come the way that we can really analyze for Aztec getting implemented into this roster.
Well, we know now that our first map is going to be Busan, so we're going to hand this over to our casters, Rapture and Kenobi, to take it away. Let's see how it goes.
Thanks, Gio. Welcome back, Overwatchers. It is time for Week 4, Day 1 of Contenders China, Season 3, 2018. I am Rapture, here with Kenobi for Match 1 of the day. And Kenobi, like Gio said, we're starting off here on Busan. Any expectations for both of these teams?
So for both of these teams, I think that Des touched on it a little bit, and I like the way that they mentioned it. You know, Val specifically mentioned this kind of idea that both of these teams are kind of drowning. And it seems like they just want to really just play to their styles and see what they can be doing with this meta. You know, we have King Kong and AE like to play that diving meta where ReStart also, you know, maybe stick towards more of the 3-3 compositions. So it's going to be a differentiation of styles. And with both these teams, it really is going for your first win. You're finally going to get that win. You really need to win this one because you are going to maybe go to trials anyways, but you want to be going with a win and not just be going 0-5.
Well, that's the thing, is that if you lose here, I mean, there's a pretty solid chance you don't make it. If you win here, you're still not necessarily guaranteed even like the 4th slot you could potentially get going into playoffs. So, I mean, both of these teams certainly in one of the worst situations they could be in Contenders China, and certainly need to pick up a win here against a team that, I mean, this is essentially a map neither of these teams could lose. You don't want to start off weak here, and already ReStart getting a nice start, a 6v3 advantage over Alter Ego. They're going to push it to a first point completion.
Yeah, really nice speed from WinWinQ there, understanding that the Brigitte was out of position for Alter Ego, and then Wands was able to just cleave with his Reinhardt hammer. When that Brigitte is out of position, you don't really have too many escape shots, especially if like Bubbles is down. So really nice play from the supports here of ReStart, and now it's going to be very difficult with this composition Alter Ego have to try and recontest. ReStart can hold here at this chokehold. The dive is really the only thing, but King Kong is in very deep all by himself.
Yeah, and Raphael trying to keep that charge up at least above 50 energy. That's going to help bolster this front line against Alter Ego. Cloud going to steal some kills away from Alter Ego, and ReStart already a commanding lead on Alter Ego here. Going to get a bit of a stagger as well on likes, so they're going to push up an Alter Ego, and why not? Just chew away all this time from their push.
And Brigitte is really one of the most important parts of this Goats composition that they're running here. If you lose the Brigitte early, you lose a lot of sustain healing, you lose a lot of that CC potential as well, especially against something like the dive coming in from Alter Ego. You really can't be having that. And now King Kong is going to be switching to the Rhine himself, taking the Rhine battle 1v1. So definitely look out for these Rhines and see who goes down first. As a huge shatter comes out there from Wands.
And Jan pops the Transcendence. And Alter Ego able to stay alive thanks to that, but they're not finding any damage. They're having trouble breaking through on ReStart. They're going to use the self-destruct to try and get in, forcing ReStart to take cover, but ReStart immediately gets back together. Alter Ego doesn't get any real estate from that self-destruct. Still having trouble pushing up onto the point. Raphael just gets Graviton as they get pinned by the Reinhardt, going to throw it down just as they get stunned by the Earth Shatter. A 3-player Earth Shatter, but the Graviton keeps them locked in place. There's no falls from Alter Ego, just the one kill from Jan on Raphael. ReStart pushed up, self-destruct from above, forcing Alter Ego into cover. Graviton there, but the self-destruct spaces Alter Ego away so they can't follow up. Huge ultimates out here, but the kills are coming outside of them. One's able to just barely go low and stay alive. Pika going low as well, about to lose that mech. But the healing from Alter Ego is there. and they are able to bolster themselves throughout this fight and sustain. Overtime ticking away, but Restart's not going to be there to continue and win the fight. Alter Ego just in time, taking completion.
That was such a long fight, and Restart used everything in that last fight. They have no ultimates, whereas Alter Ego have 4 to their name. Restart here have to make a couple of dry pushes and eco pushes, try and make sure that they're forcing these ultimates from Alter Ego, because if not, it's going to be very difficult for them to even try and get back onto this point. As we see here, 15% for Alter Ego. They can definitely milk this all the way to probably about 50 or 60 if it's played correctly. That Shatter, maybe not the best.
Yeah, Earthshatter gets completely blocked here and Restart forced into a corner. So not a huge loss. Alter Ego can kind of, I guess, pretend that Earthshatter landed. Restart getting bodied nonetheless. So works out for Alter Ego anyway.
And but you only got the Shatter from King Kong. That's really all you got if you're on the side of Restart. You didn't get anything else. You didn't get the Transcendence, and now Sago is close to his own sound barrier. So again, it's a very high hill for Restart to climb in terms of ultimate economy here. Raphael and Wands, and you really need to work towards getting their ultimates, because those are going to be what they need. As Likes here is sitting here with this Graviton, maybe going to try a little cheeky thing here.
Oh, nice. Right below Restart, and then the self-destruct. They can't hide from it. Aztec's the only one that goes down, though, so Alter Ego not getting too much off of that combination, but they are wearing Restart down. They have now pushed them to about 63, 64% and counting for Alter Ego's hold. Oh, Earthshatter putting Black down, and now Restart going to follow up on that one. Self-destruct of Pika from above, not going to find pay dirt. Restart going to fall back here as the sound barrier comes up from Ago. Graviton, though, going to keep Alter Ego in place so they can't push up onto the point entirely. And Cloud and Win-Win are going to get on the board, take those kills away, steal the souls from Alter Ego right out of them. And then overtime ticking away, Alter Ego not available any longer to get on the point, and Restart will take the first round.
So that was an interesting fight that we saw there with that Graviton coming out from Alter Ego. Likes hit a little bit of a cheeky grab at the bottom. They're getting everyone, but I think King Kong went behind the enemy team by himself to try and clean up some of the frags, and you can't be going into a composition like that 1v5. You're just not going to be able to live, because there's just so much sustained damage and so much cleave. And then once you lose that Reinhardt in these Reinhardt Ghost composition, Reinhardt is the most important part of that composition, because if you lose the Reinhardt, the rest of Restart was like, oh, okay, Reinhardt's dead. We can just walk in. They have no shields. They're going to have to be forced to use ultimates, and then we have this Graviton to secure it. So a little bit of a miscommunication there, and maybe just a little bit too much of a kind of a greedy play from King Kong to try and just get those kills.
Yeah, and we are going to be going to at least a short break here, because we do have some kind of difficulties on the main feed. So don't go anywhere. Where more Contenders China Season 3 2018 coming your way once we get back into the things after this short break. Welcome back, everybody. Apologies for that, but we are in round 2 of Busan and ReStart already with that first round if you're just joining us. And now, Kenobi, we've already got right back into the action.
So we're going to see goats versus goats again here with the Reinhardt. So I'm definitely looking towards Wand and towards King Kong here, as Wand gets the first pick onto Sago there. But these Reinhardts are going to be the most important characters in this goats competition. Who gets that Discord on them first? Who goes down first? As the Lucio's dead, it's not really the biggest pick in the world, but here, ReStart has the advantage.
Kaze moving up into the front line. Ooh, and Pega gonna find Kaze and then Wand sniping him out there with a fire strike. Kaze getting it too big for their britches. And a big win there for ReStart, gonna take the first completion.
Yeah, losing that Lucio very early is pretty detrimental. You lose a lot of that speed ability and rotation ability, as well as some of the AoE healing that you get from that Lucio. And now, Alter Ego's built himself a pretty good ultimate bank coming into this next fight. They're going to have the Transcendence probably, as well as the Shatter from King Kong. If they can coordinate between X-Black and King Kong, a stun Shatter combo, they should be able to get this point and hold this point for a little longer.
Yep, and now here's the recontest from Alter Ego. Going to be pushing up behind this Reinhardt shield. They do have the Diva on the left side, putting some more shots in the side angle. They're going to move up. X-Black with the stun onto the Reinhardt. Going to push up on that one. A pin just barely whipping on the front line. Raphael now punching away. Lower than 50 charge, but they do have the Graviton. Might want to let that one loose up against the pillar, but trying to avoid the defense matrix here of Kaze. And now there's a stun there. It's a big Earth Shatter. At least 3 players getting caught in that one once, and Cloud going to clean up. Raphael's there as well. Now going to stagger the Zenyatta too. Alter Ego going down 50% now for ReStart. Another big win for them.
And I talked about it, how Alter Ego had this combination between the stun shatter combo, but Aztec with the perfect sidestep, keeping himself alive and the ability to trance, healing through all that damage that was coming through the follow-up of the shatter, and then they forced out the trance from Gen 17 and hit the stun shatter themselves. Great play from ReStart, and now with this Graviton, it's going to be a battle of Gravitons here. Who can get theirs eaten?
Graviton with literally the exact same frame, self-destruct coming in against the pillar though, and Pika's going to get 2. Sago Kaze going down. Cloud going to find likes, and King Kong going down again, not able to build up the Earth Shatter. It's going to be hard to push up onto the next fight.
And actually, this is going to be a stagger here, and that's going to milk a lot of percentage off of this clock. 85% Rapture. This is last fight territory for Alter Ego. They need to go now. ReStart playing so aggressive here. Alter Ego might not even get a chance to get back to the point.
And they have no ultimates to work with. King Kong and Sago still don't have theirs. Neither does Jan. X-Black moving over to Pharah, but it might be too little too late here. So far from a barrage. How much damage can they really get down to make an effect here on ReStart, who are falling back onto the point, giving Alter Ego some room, but putting down King Kong, who just let the Earth Shatter crack and didn't find much at all. Alter Ego, a big loss there resource-wise. X-Black putting some shots down, gets the attention of Pika here, has to fall back. Sound barrier thrown down now by Sago. King Kong moving over to the Hammond, trying to get some more disruption here. Oh, but then the steal! Alter Ego, X-Black picking up the point right from under ReStart's noses there. Aztec gets the kill, or gets killed by King Kong. X-Black still about 3/4 of the way to the barrage, and now ReStart forced to fall back here as they're falling apart at the seams, trying to hide behind the Reinhardt shield, but X-Black finds the kill. Now Alter Ego has nowhere to run.
That was a really cheeky, actually, switch to the Pharah here against this Goats composition. You offer a lot of, damage coming from above that really ReStart can't deal with. Besides, Pika there on that Diva, who can really is the only one who can get to him, wasn't able to put up enough damage to pressure him out. And now, Alter Ego, they're the ones with the ult advantage coming into this next fight. They have 3. King Kong also very close to his as well, but look out for Win Q on this Lucio. He's going to have that sound barrier. That might be what they need to sustain through all this damage that's going to be coming from the barrage.
And if anything, ReStart could try and just get Alter Ego to get all these pops. Ooh, Aztec sniping X-Black right out of the sky. They had a barrage to use, not going to be able to pop it this fight. Here's the self-destruct Graviton combination, and I looked like a shield got up there just in time, not entirely sure. But no one goes down as a result. Pika and Cloud going to find Kaze and King Kong respectively there. And now X-Black and King Kong are the only members of Alter Ego with ultimates to use here, but King Kong's down, so it's just up to X-Black if they can even get there in time. Transcendence from Jando does come down. That was the only other ultimate. Ooh, Earth Shatter going through, ignoring the bubble, and there's no one there for Alter Ego. ReStart gonna find the point and the round and the map 2-0 and taking the first map. They're up in the series 1-0.
A swift 2-0 coming out from ReStart too. We thought this was going to be a little bit more scrappy than possible, but their ReStart is looking very, very good. And at the end in those fights there, the desperate kind of switch to Pharah worked a little bit for X-Black, but then there was Aztec there who was just on that Ana. And really when that Pharah doesn't have any healing, maybe there was some miscommunication to get orb on him, but Aztec hitting his shots in the right moment, getting that Pharah out of the sky. And once you lost that Pharah for Alter Ego, you lost a lot of damage and a lot of really just a fear factor because you don't want to be running into a Pharah. Once that Pharah is down, then you could just run. You have all the time in the world. You can pop all your ultimates as much as you want because it's a 5v6, and they don't have the damage really or the shielding because there was no Reinhardt. King Kong was on that Hammond. So really good play from ReStart there at the end, and they're going to be taking a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, Alter Ego, at times kind of faltering. They make those changes. They lose out of ult charge. Aztec getting killed before the fight starts. King Kong getting killed before the fight starts. Those kind of things add up in the long run, and ReStart taking advantage. They're up 1-0. But don't go anywhere, folks. We have some more maps coming your way. We're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, more Overwatch Contenders China on Broadcast.gg coming your way. Welcome back, everybody, to Overwatch Contenders China Season 3 2018. It is Week 4, Day 1, Match 1, and I'm Rapture, still here with Kenobi for Alter Ego versus ReStart. Now, ReStart took Busan 2-0, so they're moving on with a map lead over their opponent's Alter Ego into Numbani. Kenobi, we saw ReStart more consistent on their ultimates. They had X-Black getting in there with the Bree stun to allow them to work their ultimates in a little better. Alter Ego, their ultimate usage, a little shaky. So coming into Numbani, what does Alter Ego got to do to get back into this one against ReStart?
I definitely want to see some more alt combinations coming out from Alter Ego, you know, and make them a little bit more clean, because there we saw a couple of times where they misstepped with their ultimates, you know, weren't using them correctly with each other. Stun Shatter's not really hitting the mark you want there. And here on Numbani, I think they're going to be switching it up a little bit. I expect King Kong to go back to that Winston, play more of that dive, because he seems much more comfortable on Winston than he is on Reinhardt. For ReStart, I think we're going to be seeing somewhat of the same, especially, you don't see goats too much on this map of Numbani. You see much more of, you know, things that can abuse that high ground, you know, that you have on this map, especially on point A. So I think expect to see more things like that.
Yep, definitely in Contenders China, the Sombra Doomfist is a pretty go-to pick for offense and defense. on Numbani, and then you'll see the little change up here, like Alter Ego, for example. They're running the Sombra Genji on offense, whereas we're seeing on defense the Sombra Doomfist for Restart. So Restart has a lot of options when Alter Ego dives, right? They have that Doomfist that can just clobber you right back the second you commit with your Winston, your D.Va, or your Genji. So let's see how that plays out. King Kong gonna dive right in, finds the D.Va, pushed right back from that shoulder checker. Let's see if they can de-mech the D.Va for Restart as quick as possible. They're pretty much down one tank for Restart. Sago now trying to get a harm's way, but Cloud finds them, puts him down for first blood. Restart with that first kill there. That's a big start. Oh, and also almost getting rid of the Genji. Cloud does get Enli there, Fenley there. And that'll be Restart with a good, solid win over Alter Ego, chewing down about a minute off their offensive push.
And that's kind of one of the dangers you have when there's a Mercy against something like a Doomfist. If the Mercy's playing too low to the ground, like Saga was there, he's just prime for the Doomfist to just hit him if she's using that Guardian Angel. There, really good play from Cloud, getting that one punch onto the Mercy and then getting rid of so much healing there, because really after that, the only healer you have is that Ana, and there's just not enough healing with all that dive coming in from Alter Ego.
And certainly Restart's going to be focusing on King Kong, one of the linchpins of Alter Ego's dive composition. X-Black goes down early, but Fenley finds Aztecs. 5v4 situation here as King Kong goes down. Pika trying to find the Mercy. No, they go super low, but Sago's able to get out of dodge. One's now looking for him, and Pika's going to steal the kill. Now Fenley trying to even the odds here and salvage this fight with the Dragon Blade. Push back after the kill on the Win-Win, and Ones will clean up the kill, as well as finding, at least helping out on Jan, that will get slept, but nonetheless, Restart winning yet another fight and taking out yet another minute off the clock off Alter Ego.
Maybe a little bit of a greedy ult there coming out from Fenley. Really didn't have anyone else around him to kind of use that Dragon Blade. Maybe could have saved it for that EMP. It looks like he's actually going to be switching over to the Tracer, so no harm done really. But in this next fight for Restart, they have 5 ultimates, whereas Alter Ego don't have many. It's going to be a battle of these EMPs here. If your Aztec gets that Transcendence and can get out of the way of where X-Black is coming from with this EMP, that's going to be really all they need to win this next fight, and Alter Ego have to really think about how they're going to be using it, because they don't really have much else with 1 minute and 44 seconds left.
The X-Black here. There it is. EMP thrown down in the back line, and Raphael lets theirs loose as well. Both out of both out of each other's range, so they're going to be able to use the EMP, but it's Restart that has the big advantage on Alter Ego. Alter Ego, I mean, like you said, coming into the fight, Restart had the lead with ultimates, and Alter Ego, off of these 2 fights they had previously, literally nothing gained, and now another fight lost. They're even further down in ultimates. Every fight that they lose, they get further and further away from closing the gap on Restart.
And that was such a perfectly timed Transcendence coming out from Aztec. Saw the Sombra stealth and then immediately popped the Transcendence, knowing that the Sombra is going to try an EMP and one-clip him. Couldn't do it through the Transcendence, and then the rest of the team was able to counter dive and do a lot of damage and get those picks. And now Alter Ego really don't have anything. They're making wholesale swaps with a minute left. You're not going to have those support ults very quickly, and still, you know, the ultimates for Restart, you have 3 of them to your own. It's going to be very difficult here for Alter Ego.
Yeah, they get rid of the Genji, and they put over Fenley on the Sombra, the X-Black on the Bree. They can try and use that shield bash to help get in a self-destruct from Kaze maybe. Oh, Pika though cuts off Alter Ego at the knees. Just above 30 seconds, getting rid of Sago and Jan. And that's a snowball right there for Restart to get rid of the rest of Alter Ego, leaving them with just under 30 seconds on the clock and still only 2 ultimates to work with going into this next fight.
So for Alter Ego here, the way you win this point is that you have a clutch D.Va bomb from Kaze. That's really the miracle that you need. If Kaze is able to hit at least 1 or 2 people with this self-destruct, especially the back line, that might be what they need, because then they can come in with King Kong on that Primal Rage, have a lot of sustain on that point if they need.
Yeah, but it's going to be easier said than done. Alter Ego really has no way to get those ultimates onto the point, because Restart's playing it very aggressively here. And now there's the self-destruct, but no one's on the point. It doesn't even matter that Kaze gets the kill on Aztec, because no one's touching the point. You know, honestly here, it's Contenders China. If it isn't a C9 in the first 2 maps, then it's really not Contenders China. So, yep, all right. So there is a defensive hold there for Restart. Alter Ego now has a lot of work to do to hold off Restart, or Restart will already be at a very swift 2-0 lead in this series.
It seemed like Alter Ego was caught in 2 minds a little bit about what to do there, and somehow they saw Cloud very deep in the backline, was also discorded and was very, very low. Perhaps they were, had blood in their eyes, where they're like, okay, we're gonna kill this Doomfist really, really quickly and then go to the point, but they didn't realize the amount of time that they had kind of lost track. So tunneled a little bit too much on that Doomfist, and they were getting the picks. We saw, even if it was at the end of the map, we saw that there was 1 pick on the self-destruct. Like I said, they needed to get a pick, and then they could have snowballed onto that point, but unfortunately, unfortunately, they just didn't get to the point quick enough. And now it's going to be very difficult for Alter Ego to even hold this because ReStart is looking very, very good on their dive so far.
Yep. What was I was saying last week? It was weird comps, full stomps, Hammond mines, and C9s.
Yep,
That's what Chinese Contenders is coming in here. Numbani about to be wrapped up here very quickly for ReStart as they're going to be going for what looks like a very aggressive divey composition, and Raphael can just kind of wrap things up in a bow with the EMP if needed. Alter Ego, though, there you go. He's seen that defensive composition with the Somber Doomfist again, just like what ReStart ran on their defensive attempt.
So they are going to have the Brigitte here for Alter Ego. They're going to have the Brigitte, and if this goes bad for Alter Ego, it's going to go really bad, especially if one of the support. If Jan 17 dies in any way here, the fight's just going to be over because you won't have that healing for the rest of your team. The only way you're going to be able to win is try and get some counter kills. So they need to protect Jan 17 with everything they have right now, or they're going to just lose this point.
Yep, and you see Cloud already putting some pressure on the high ground here, finding ReStart. That they have a few bodies in this upper left side here. The Winston, the Doomfist hanging around. Now there's a die. Oh, and never mind. King Kong doesn't commit to that high ground, falling back, probably rightfully so. But now ReStart seeing the opportunity. They're going to dive in on Fenley. Works out perfectly. Raphael steals the kill. Almost getting the Bree down as well. X-Flat going super, super low, lower than half HP, but then finally bolstered right back up. Kaze and King Kong, right, and grouped up together. They see ReStart now has an opportunity to jump right onto them as cooldown's been burned by Alter Ego. They have nowhere to run. Cloud, lower than 100 HP, gets bolstered right back up. Raphael finds a kill on King Kong. There's the D-Mech. Kaze going down. Sago as well. And that should be more than enough here for ReStart to get 1/3. And indeed it is. ReStart very swiftly going up 2-0.
I really like the communication that I saw from ReStart there and what they were doing with that initial dive. They took the Sombra all the way around through that back line, and then they were able to find the Doomfist. The Doomfist was hacked, and then the dive came in very, very well from the Genji and from the Winston. Doomfist goes down, and then they're like, okay, there's no threat of the Doomfist anymore, no threat of one-shots. We can play much more aggressive now that there's no Doomfist on the field. They were able to clean up the points after that. Cloud got a couple of nice dash resets, was able to just clean it up, and ReStart here looking very, very good, much more coordinated than Alter Ego, it seems.
Yeah, definitely an understatement out here. Alter Ego has a lot of work to do to get back into this series. Let's see what the analyst desk has to say after those two maps. So, Gio, how about you take it away?
Guys, it's a pretty good start for ReStart so far, right?
It's a restart to the ReStart team, it may seem. They're restarting their entire clause of this contender season.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I mean,
Sure.
So let's start by let's start with Busan. And on Downtown, the first map, ReStart took it like fairly decidedly. And one thing that we did note was the fact that ones came out on the Reinhardt, whereas King Kong came out on the Winston, and that may be part of the reason why they were able to take the point so quickly initially, right?
I mean, we were sitting here talking about during the pre-show about how King Kong needed to be implemented or I guess enabled on this Winston more than anything during their time here in this matchup. But they played it entirely wrong. They took the dive onto Downtown Center. They stood right in front of the Reinhardt King Kong did. And then just left the Discord orb for his Zarya to be a placeholder for. And then ReStart just ran over the rest of the team of Alter Ego. And they never really found a good footing until King Kong swapped over to the Reinhardt.
Yeah, and he was playing that pretty aggressively. He built his first Earth Shatter so quickly.
Yeah, I'll give him credit. King Kong was playing much better on the Reinhardt than we expected. Pretty good management of when to swing, when to play passively, keep his shield up. And like you say, not only was he able to build up his Earth Shadow quickly, he was also pretty good at negating one's Earth Shadows, not letting them get so much value. So I do have to give Alter Ego credit. I felt like, especially on Downtown, they were doing a little bit better at positioning, like Gravitons and Earth Shadows, getting more value out of them. They just handicapped themselves by not being able to utilize the Winston Goats, playing at a disadvantage. I think if they'd come out on Reinhardt, they could have even won Downtown.
Well, when we moved on to Sanctuary, we kind of had a little bit of a question mark about how Sargo was approaching his Lucio play.
Yeah, this has been a consistent weak point for Alter Ego all through the series so far, but on Sanctuary was the clearest example of it. He goes a little bit red at Lucio, gets a little bit too aggressive, immediately shield bash, whip shot, taken out by the Brigitte. Alter Ego got unraveled on the first take, so ReStart owned the point. And this is a common theme we're seeing for Alter Ego in that they're really starting to make these adjustments. It wasn't until quite late on they weren't able to win the Goats v Goats matchups. We saw X-Black coming out on the Farah. That worked for a push. Next fight, X-Black gets picked immediately. They lose out again. So Alter Ego, they have the right answers sometimes. They're just really slow at actually implementing it.
Hey, fire works so well until you try to land on the ground at the end of the game and use your barrage. So yeah, those different iterations of their hero compositions really got flexed even further as the entire day seems to be unfolding, and Alter Ego seemed to be trying to fit on a whole bunch of different shirts to find out what their ego actually is.
Well, when we went into Numbani, we actually saw on both teams' attack when they were both running a dive composition, but with an Ana Mercy as their support duo. Like, talk me through this, because it's not often that you don't see a Zenyatta on a dive attack.
So the logic behind it is you get as much healing as possible. Obviously, Mercy 50 HP per second ups a lot of healing. Ana as well has a lot of burst healing from a long distance. The reason Alter Ego struggled is that it's down to positioning. Jan 17, no matter where he positioned the Ana, never had the sight lines to keep everyone alive. Was never really effectively outputting healing on the Ana in the same way that he could on maybe a Zen, where he doesn't always have to have direct line of sight. Same story for Sago on the Mercy, always putting himself in really dangerous positions on the Mercy, consistently getting picked early. When you're going up against a team like ReStart, one of their biggest strengths is being able to eliminate enemy supports. We saw them last week against Flag Gaming, where they were going against Mika and Coldest. That's one of the best support duos in the region, and they couldn't really do anything against how aggressive ReStart was playing. So going up against Sago and Jan 17, who really aren't as strong, you need to be playing much more carefully than these two are.
Yeah, I mean, when you're taking the Ana and the Mercy too, it was almost like a half of 3 different compositions coming out for Alter Ego there, in my opinion. They wanted to play for the Nano Blade, but they didn't end up playing for the Nano Blade. Saga went down early in that last fight, so they couldn't even pocket the Genji during said Nano Blade. There wasn't a Brig on the field, so that Blade could have been exponential for Alter Ego to take the point. But ReStart, they just seemed ready. I mean, you can come out there with a multitude of compositions. You could try to be cheeky as possible and not come out there with a utility support like Zen or Lucio with the defensive ultimate. But when you walk onto point A of Numbani and you're facing a Doomfist Sombra, Ana, when she is just by herself up on that high ground or just attempting to find line of sight at all, it's just either going to get punched in the face and dispatched by the Doomfist or hacked and obliterated by the Sombra. It's very hard to implement that.
Yeah, and speaking of being hacked by the Sombra, we did see the new Flexible Aztec, who we mentioned in the pre-game, do a pretty good trans against an EMP.
Yeah, Aztec, I'll give him credit. He wasn't able to build up trans particularly quickly, didn't have it on time for when the Dragon Blade came out, but it was instant reactions, shut down the EMP push, and after that, Alter Ego didn't really have an answer. This has been a common theme for Aztec so far. He's got pretty good positioning, pretty good trans timing as well, but he's not building up these trans particularly quickly, not able to output the same amount of damage that some other Zens in the region are, so he doesn't have that ultimate online quite as often as everyone else does, so maybe something to look to improve on. He is a replacement for B612, who's one of the more dangerous, one of the more fragger Zens, so it's an interesting stylistic change for ReStart.
Yeah, it looks like we're actually going to be having a sub come in. Shiazi subbing in for Fenley. What do we think about this?
Well, I mean, Fenley just got subbed in previously too. So again, I just think this is just Alter Ego just playing out. They're going through their closet, right? They're trying all these different T-shirts on. They're trying to see what the best fit is for their medium shirts here today, and it's really just trying to see what their biggest implication is. I mean, when you have where the current meta for Overwatch is just very tank heavy and very reliant off of team cohesion altogether, all these different swaps, regardless of how good the player is never really the right step that you want to take. We're not really seeing swaps coming up from their adversaries of ReStart, and it's really playing through. You can see through week 1 with this roster in particular. We were speaking amongst ourselves while we were watching Numbani. It's just how happy we are that Wands is finally able to come to his own. A little shaky coming through the first couple weeks, but he really looks good today, and I think that's just because of how much time they've had to play together. And when you get that play time together, you get a really synergistic team. But as this new player comes in for Alter Ego, only time can tell for me.
Well, the next map is the Assault map, and we know now that is going to be Hanamura. So we're going to send it straight back to Rapture and Kenobi to take us through the streets of Japan. Let's go.
Thanks, Gio. Welcome back, everybody. It is time for map number 3 of match number 1 here at Broadcast.g's coverage of Overwatch Contenders China Season 3 2018, Week 4, Day 1. Yep, I am Rapture, still here with Kenobi, and it is time for Hanamura. ReStart is up 2-0 on Alter Ego, 2 of the bottom teams in their group. You gotta win here. This is like, I mean, you really needed to win in the first 3 weeks. That would have been really helpful, but like here, you gotta win, and especially Alter Ego. They lose Hanamura, they lose the series as well, and they're pretty much their playoff chances, I would say, are done at that point. So Alter Ego, they can't afford to lose this here. Kenobi, we've seen Alter Ego. They're willing to make adjustments, but as the desk said, especially Vowels, that they're slow to do so. And a lot of the time that sets them back at that ult charge rate, especially in the support game. What do you think Alter Ego has to do to get back into this?
Well, Alter Ego last week on this map, we saw them bring out a couple of various compositions. We saw them bring out, the Sombra Doomfist. We saw them bring out Winston Goats, Ryan Goats, different variations of Goats. And here it looks like they're going to be sticking with more of the... I'm not sure if this is going to be a Mei or not. I'm guessing it's probably going to be something like a Zarya. Actually, no. So they're going to be bringing out the Mei. So an interesting composition here. Really what I think they're going to try and do with the Mei is if the Doomfist dives in, try and just freeze him and make sure that he can't get out. But I'm still very interested with this composition and how it's going to work. Not looking like it's working too great so far.
First oil there. Jan goes down the Omnic, then Yada. Pika will find that one. So ReStart already an advantage. I think Alter Ego kind of getting the hint slightly here and not going to force this, but they really don't have much of a choice. They gotta have, they have to commit here. They're already up on the high ground. They put themselves in a position. They can't be waiting and jockeying for position outside the point. So they kind of have to get this done. And ReStart's going to let them wait until they finally go in. Alter Ego has to jump down, and ReStart's waiting for them to do so. A bit of a jump there. One does fall back, not trying to overcommit. Smart. Now there's a jump back here from Alter Ego's King Kong. Jan gets the kill on the Cloud. ReStarts to fall back as both their tanks are stunned or low. Pika gets demeched as Ones gets stunned. He's about half HP now. Getting fought back here by the D.Va and goes down. X-Black helping out on the kill on Win-Win. And Alter Ego gonna swiftly take this away from ReStart. Kind of saw it coming, but let it happen.
Yeah, and there at the end, Jan 17 died very early, but then came back on Tracer, and that's something we see a lot from these Chinese teams. Their flex support is usually always able to switch over to that Tracer, and there, I think it caught ReStart a little bit off guard. Cloudy went down very early on that Doomfist because the Tracer damage was just too much for him, and now, going into this next fight, ReStart has made a lot of changes to their composition, making it more of a Goats composition 3-3 here, trying to deal with that dive that they think might be coming from that Tracer, but now Jan 17 is back on that Zen, so it's not going to really matter.
Alter Ego can use the Mei to have that extra ice wall coverage as they get up here, but still difficult. There's very little room to work with, and ReStart going to force Alter Ego back. Now going to go for another attempt here on the left side of the high ground, and ReStart doesn't have any ultimates to repel them with. There's just a Blizzard for Alter Ego. Oh, and they got the rally just in time there too. That's going to help them push through the front line of ReStart. The ReStart falling back here. The support's kind of drawing the attention of the Mei away from the rest of Alter Ego as King Kong popped the Primal. Super low, they had to, they were forced to. Now Sound Barrier from Sago as well. Self-destruct from Kaze, that's not going to find Paydirt. Primal Rage 1 looking for Sago as they had Sound Barrier there. Now self-destruct from Pico, not going to burn it. Waiting out until the Transcendence from their team, see if they get some raw kills on the other side of it. Ones finds X-Black. Jan popping their Transcendence. Still patience from ReStart on their ultimates, waiting out Alter Ego, who have just burned all their ultimates. And there's the Graviton, where Alter Ego has nothing to respond with. Great play, great timing from ReStart to wait until Alter Ego used all their ultimates before popping things. And Pika still holding up to their self-destruct. What an effective play and fight win there from ReStart.
And that was a massive eat there from Pika on that D.Va. He was able to eat the Blizzard coming out from Jashi. And if Jashi hits that Blizzard, most likely both of the supports for ReStart were going to go down there because they were caught in it. Great play and great heads-up play coming out from Pika. And now going into this next fight, Alter Ego might have to build up a couple more ultimates. Jashi's going to have this Blizzard again. Hopefully it doesn't get eaten like last time.
Yeah, and both teams now coalescing to these tankier compositions here to weather the storm of ultimates, and both teams now low on those ults. We're about to get a few. Alter Ego gets the Blizzard right back. Kaze and X-Black about to have theirs as well. One's got Primal Rage. Raphael forced back to the ground. Super high charge, looking for the Winston, able to cut him down with the beam. And ReStart still in control as Pika finds Yaozi. And that should be Alter Ego falling back here as they lose X-Black. Aztec going low, but able to keep themselves alive, and ReStart in full control of the point, whittling Alter Ego down to just above 4 minutes.
And I'm so incredibly pleased with how ReStart is playing against this Mei composition. They're not letting the wall get any value, because with Mei against these 3-3 compositions, the biggest thing that you have is that wall and the ability to section off the enemy from themselves, pull apart the death ball a little bit. And their ReStart is playing so very well passive, moving back to the point whenever they're needed to, not getting caught by that wall, and just doing a great job of making sure that the Mei isn't getting the value that she needs.
And Alter Ego though, but I mean, this is the theme that we've been seeing. Alter Ego behind in the ultimate charge game, but Both teams about to go into this 6-on-6, using this Mei wall to try and get at least get them over here to this left side. They're burning so much time trying to do so. They're waiting out the wall cooldown. And
Oh, hey, they made it.
hey, there we go. All right, so Alter Ego going 007 style on the left side. ReStart sees it coming though. You can see the Lucio throwing shots down. There's Saga. There's the jump in there from from Ones. Pika now with the self-destruct that they were waiting on from earlier. Graviton comes out. Transcendence is going to block the self-destruct effectiveness. Now, Transcendence from both sides here. Aztec popping there. Win-Win about to have sound barrier. Gets it. Pops sound barrier. Kazek finding Cloud. Alter Ego losing ultimates left and right. Trying to self-destruct here to force ReStart into cover. But Alter Ego had lost a lot of their damage dealers there, and they're relying on Jen and King Kong to get the job done. Primal Rage forcing everyone back. Ones finds Jen off the point, but ReStart losing numbers. They're going to have to use this defensive spawn advantage to get back into this fight here, and that should be enough to regain control of the point. But Alter Ego already has about half a point B taken. Aztec with the switch on the Widowmaker helps DMEC Kaze, and Ones will clean up the kill. ReStart will finally repel Alter Ego, but at the cost of about half a point B.
And there really, it was just a battle of ultimates there coming out from both sides. As you can see, no one has an ultimate left. Ultimates popping out left and right there. And really what kind of messed up Alter Ego there was they used everything basically to kill Cloud on that Brigitte. So then they didn't have anything left for the rest of the team. And the rest of the team there was just able to win the battle of attrition. They're going to try going through this left way again. I wonder if they know that they can just do that with the Lucio. You can't just jump that way without the main wall.
Yeah, they can just use speed boost, right? Like,
Yeah.
they can, yeah. But the thing is, too, is that they're committing all the way to that left side with no ultimates except the Transcendence they just got from Jan. They have no damage-dealing ultimates, no, like, showstopper, playmaker ultimates here. So, I mean, they're going in raw, trying to build some ult charge. Cloud goes down, and they use the Transcendence from Jan. They're trying to just sustain long enough to get the rest of their ultimates to come out here. Jazzy with the freeze, slowing down Ones, but not enough to get the kill. Jan far away, cut off from the rest of the team here, trying to help out with some healing on King Kong just in time, and now the Discord Orb on one of those tanks. ReStart unable to get a kill swiftly though. King Kong has the Primal Rage, finds a kill onto Cloud, putting some pressure. The Transcendence is right in their face. They have to back off just momentarily, but now have their sights on the support line of ReStart. But Kaze in the meantime finds the kill on Ones with King Kong and Aztec as they use the Primal Rage. Now Alter Ego again with a 3-player advantage, but we saw this last fight isn't enough to actually steal the point away from ReStart as they filter back in from the defensive spawn. Self-destruct on the high ground, nowhere near close enough to Alter Ego to really get anything done. X-Pac now on the 76 has a little bit of opportunity here to get some long-range damage done from afar that a ReStart really can't respond to immediately here, as they just have so much damage coming from them at their spawn itself. Alter Ego now just about at 2/3, but they haven't gotten the second tick just yet. They have 3 players at the point though, have 4 now. ReStart nowhere to run, or nowhere at all actually. Sago and X-Black and Kaze will clean up the rest of ReStart. Finally, Alter Ego get on the board for the first time in the series.
That was such a sick boop at the end there from Sago on that Lucio. The deck talked about him a little bit and how he needs to step up his game slightly. And there did a really good job of booping Wands back into the self-destruct, because Wands had gotten, behind the wall, was going to be able to shield himself. And then Sago booped him into the self-destruct. He had Primal, so if he was able to prop that Primal, maybe they would have been able to sustain a little bit longer. But then he dies, and then the rest of Alter Ego comes back. X-Blax makes a really good switch onto Soldier. We see that a lot where if you're in one of these battles at the end of Hanamura, you take the Soldier, get onto the low ground or the high ground, and then it's just a shooting gallery for you because you can't really have anyone come and contest you. They sent, Pika on that Diva, tried to get him, and Pika had to self-destruct just to live. So great play there and great presence of mind from X-Black to come back on that Soldier.
Yep, definitely. Those are those moments that was talked about earlier from Alter Ego. They're willing to make adjustments. Sometimes they do come about a little slowly, but that was an opportunity for Alter Ego to quickly throw to a different player, a different character, and make the most of it. That 76 definitely paying off a little bit. Now, even if just a little effect at the end of the fight definitely helped out. And now ReStart, I mean, honestly though, I would say a very solid defense from ReStart. I mean, Alter Ego only has 38 seconds, and ReStart could very easily take this map and would have like 6 or 7 minutes on the clock and then hold Alter Ego for 38 seconds. So ReStart still in a very, very good position here. But Alter Ego with the Sombra Mei, I mean, there's a lot of crowd control coming out from that, but not a ton. I mean, they have mobility as well though. Mei and Zenyatta and Ana aren't super mobile, so it's really just, the D.Va, the Winston, and Sombra to an extent that can be super mobile. I wonder if Alter Ego kind of going half and half in that way might, hurt them in the long run.
So they're going to switch over to a Ghost comp here, and really what they need to worry about here is the Mei coming out from Zaishi. Zaishi seems like he's just a Mei specialist, so they need to be very careful in how they move through this chokehold, because if they get separated, the rest of the team's going to die. Like here, Aztec can't even get to his team.
And that's a big cutoff there. Raphael, the former Delete Brig, getting slowed down. Might not have been stunned, but kind of taste their own medicine. That'll be the Mei picking up that kill there and restart. Losing Raphael and Wands now. Alter Ego holding them off. This Mei wall is just making it so difficult for Restart to commit through this chokehold. Like you said, the second they step in, half the team gets cut off from the rest.
Yeah, Mei wall just gains so much value on this part of the map. On offense, it's not as good, but on defense, you can just wall this chokeway anytime someone tries to come through. I would like to see Alter Ego, or I'd like to see Restart maybe use their speed a little bit better.
Well, and Restart able to slip a majority of their players in, and they find the Mei immediately. Huge pick, and Alter Ego doesn't have any ultimates just yet to repel them. Meanwhile, Aztec has the Transcendence. Now X-Black finds the EMP, but will they have it out with a big one? Oh, Raphael getting so much work done on the D.Va, but that's because Alter Ego is focused on sleeping King Kong. They're able to do so. Transcends from Sago. Kaze with the self-destruct out, or gets demech, that is. King Kong also using their Primal Rage. Restart, had the rally go up from Cloud. And that should be enough to just work through Alter Ego. They don't have enough damage to melt Restart in time, and they're all separated here. Alter Ego unable to clump up and stay together, and that forces them to drop point A.
And that's an instance from Restart there. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. No, I don't think so, because they used the speed perfectly from Win-Win Crew, kind of catching Zaishi off guard a little bit because the wall didn't come up in time, so they got everyone through. And once that Ghost composition is through, there's almost nothing to stop it, especially if Zaishi goes down that early. But they're going to go
again
fight with another great wall from Zaishi.
Yep. Well, there's a speed boost. Gets a majority of Restart in, just like in the previous point. Kaze does get the demech on the Pika. Now, a Mei Blizzard from Zaishi coming out, slowing Restart down, and also separating them from their tanks. That should be enough. But Restart could at least getting a tick of point B. I would say it's a pretty solid win. They're going to lose their snowball, but at least they get a portion of point B, so they have so much time to work with. I think that's pretty, job well done for now.
Yeah, really how you were going to win there for the side of Restart is if you had eaten the Blizzard, because Blizzard in these kind of snowball scenarios is very good at stopping the bleeding. So there was a really big ult from Zaishi, was able to get at least 3 people inside of it. The rest of the team was able to clean up, and then that's an interesting translocator from X-Black, and he's down.
Yeah, already. So X-Black going down. That's a Q to go in, but says no. The Mei, Zaishi puts up a Mei wall there, but Restart's only stunned for a moment. No, self-destruct as Restart commits, but the Transcendence is there, stopping any effectiveness from the self-destruct. Alter Ego thought they had them, but Restart was prepared. EMP gets popped, but it didn't really land on a majority of Restart. They were all outside of the EMP range. So Alter Ego not getting the most effectiveness off that ultimate minefield, trying to separate Restart, but Restart doing a great job of staying together despite what Alter Ego's throwing at them. They lose the Mei yet again. Now, trying to use Sago to stay on the point. X-Black goes down, Sago as well. Now they have the Hammond, King Kong. Again, that last-ditch effort pick for King Kong coming out on the Hammond and doesn't get much done. And there it is, Restart at 4 minutes and 21 seconds. Alter Ego getting battered and clobbered back to spawn. A very convincing offensive take here for their opponents.
And there you saw something actually really cool from Aztec on the Zenyatta. The self-destruct came out and there wasn't any shielding. The bubble wasn't available for the Winston. So Aztec in Transcendence went over and body blocked it. That was a really good play because it might have hit one of the supports or one of the front line. And then if those go down, then it's very hard for you to start winning these fights on the map, on a map like Hanamura, where you have so much fighting going on and the respawns are just so close. So really heads up play from Aztec. And then they were able to continue to snowball. Zaishi wasn't getting the value that he needed because he was getting melted by the Zarya. So I really like what I saw from Restart. They're dealing with a composition that is kind of hard to play against when you're this GOATS composition, but they were using the speed so very well.
Well, that's the thing is that Alter Ego, it's a composition that slows down Restart to an extent, but if Restart can burst on Alter Ego and get past them in time, then it kind of shuts down Alter Ego's ability to, slow down Restart overall. Restart's able to get in on them very quickly. It's when they couldn't get the speed boost. When Alter Ego's able to slow them at the beginning of the fight and, really kind of drag it out. That's when ReStart was having a problem in these fights. ReStart landing those very swift speed boost on the second fight of point A, and then the first attempt at point B really got things going for them. So a good start to them. And Alter Ego, with the Mei, and then they had the Ana and the Zenyatta, didn't have as much mobility to keep up with ReStart. And that's, you can see time-wise, ReStart really showing out.
And they're sticking with this Mei still, and the walls seem to be really what they're taking this hero for. He hasn't been fragging too much, he's just there for utility, and he's very just by himself. Left the rest of his team alone by themselves is going to probably go down here, and that's an interesting rotation there from Zaishi.
I definitely think that Alter Ego wasn't expecting to lose Jen so early, and Zaishi would have been gone, able to go in the back line, at least on the right side, and either split up the rest of ReStart or just harass, but they lost to Zenyatta. They really couldn't commit after that, so they had to restart there. Well, ReStart won, of course, in the restart. X-Black going down, they lose Sago and X-Black immediately. ReStart, really shutting down Alter Ego. That fight really was barely a fight there. Now 10 seconds left on the clock, Kenobi, and Alter Ego has nothing to show for it.
Not even an ult to their name, whereas ReStart, they're getting closer to theirs. And Zaishi goes down immediately. That's a huge pick. King Kong is gonna die as well, and it's just a matter of time Rapture before ReStart cleans this up.
Yeah, you can say that again. Overtime taken away. ReStart, a full hold on the second attempt for point A for Alter Ego. Self-destruct, just to make sure, just for good measure. And all right, ReStart set themselves up for the series win here. They just have to take point A yet again, and they will win the series and be up 3-0 and go into the next map with 3 wins. Kenobi, Alter Ego, it seems like, they made those adjustments. Now we're seeing something, different here, whereas earlier was the problem that their adjustments weren't coming in quick enough. Now Alter Ego's making the adjustments, but it seems like they're almost sticking on them too long and not willing to make the change.
Yeah, and Panda kind of mentioned it on the desk, this analogy where they keep trying on different shirts, and this is the Mei shirt, and I think this one's a little bit too large for them because they haven't been using this composition in the best way possible. They had some good ideas, using that Mei wall to go in, block a lot of the incoming damage, and rotate to the right side. Unfortunately, though, they just didn't have the communication between themselves. Jaishi got isolated, Jan 17 went down very, very early, so I would like to see them clean up the communication just a little bit because it doesn't look that great. Jaishi, this is the first time we've ever seen him, and it seems like they don't really know what they're trying to do with this Mei composition. They have the idea, they just aren't executing it properly.
It's almost like layers here, right? It's like Alter Ego isn't really looking beyond past like their initial decision. They're like, all right, ReStart's running this, we're gonna run Mei, but they haven't really thought about, well, what happens if they're doing well against the Mei. They're like, run the Mei still, like they're kind of still doing it, hoping it works. And you know what they say about trying the same thing and hoping for a different result. Exactly. So ReStart now, they're running with that chunkiness, running the monkey goats out here, and one's gonna jump right in. They also have the diva to help them out, and Juan's getting bolstered up. A lot of healing going on to Juan here. They go down pretty low, and really just so much support ult charge for ReStart already. Look at Aztecs almost halfway to Transcendence, just to Juan's jumping in there and taking a lot of damage, and bolster right back up. Oh, it finds a support line by themselves. There's no one there for Alter Ego, and really there's no one there to peel for the Alter Ego support line. So Juan's is literally just running in there rampant on the back line of Alter Ego. They're getting absolutely bodied out here just below the 4-minute mark. ReStart has full control of the point. This should be enough as the complete kill feed is going green. Alter Ego almost losing X-Black here. They're super low. Zaishi going down. Sago as well. X-Black pretty much can't contest. And ReStart takes the map in the series. It's 3-0 for them.
And I think communication still for Alter Ego is the name of the game, and just how they don't seem to be positioned correctly. The desk talked about this as well, as their positioning just seems a little bit off. You had both the supports on the left side of the point there, and Wands was just able to go in for free by himself. If you're the tank line, and if you're Diva specifically for the side of Alter Ego, you need to be there quicker for your support line. You can't be fighting. You're the only really bastion, the only peel you have for them. You can't just be letting them die for free like that and letting Wands just live in your back line. You have to get back there, and unfortunately for Alter Ego, they just didn't. Anna went down very early, and then the Zenyatta went down close. So it just wasn't really the peel that they needed.
Yeah, Alter Ego needed a lot in that fight. Juan's was running rampant on the majority of them in Hanamura. And, looked like Alter Ego had more life in that map than they had had in the entire series thus far. With ReStart in full control here, looking very, very stellar on 3 maps in a row. And now it's time for them to go to a fourth map. We'll see, can they get the quick 4-0 here, or are they going to go 3-1? This is their first series win in Contenders China Season 3 2018, so certainly a good day for ReStart at the very least. We'll see, can Alter Ego bring it back, or will ReStart take the full series? Don't go anywhere. Here on Broadcast.gg, we're bringing you some more Overwatch Contenders China Season 3 2018. Welcome back, Overwatchers, to Broadcast.GG's coverage of Overwatch Contenders China Season 3 2018. It is Week 4, Day 1, Match 1. Alter Ego and ReStart are going into a map number 4 after ReStart taking the first 3 and securing themselves their first set win of Contenders China Season 3 2018. Kenobi, we're going to Route 66 as our 4th and final map of the series. Alter Ego is having a little trouble here.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. They need your help. What can you do to save them?
So what they've done here is they brought in Fenley, and Fenley is their basically Widow specialist, and they always, whenever I see them bring Fenley in, I'm like, okay, they're going to go to Route 66 or a map that favors the Widowmaker, and Route 66 is one of those maps where you have a lot of good sightlines if you're the Widowmaker, and Fenley has had some bright moments so far on this map. We saw in Week 1, actually, he had a little bit of a pop-off moment and almost helped carry his team basically to securing their first win. So here, if he can try to do that, it'd be great. And it looks like Alter Ego is going to be running this triple DPS comp, sticking with this Mei, so a lot of damage from afar for Alter Ego in this composition.
Yeah, triple DPS compositions seem to somehow work their way into a match in Contenders China one way or another by the end of a series, so no surprise here. I think Alter Ego really just wants to get back and play some of that new Smash Brothers. We'll see. Aztec up on X-Black finds one, forcing the res from Sago, but in the meantime, Jan goes down. There's no res for that one, so a 6v5 situation here for ReStart as they hold the payload indefinitely here. And Jan not going to switch. Zaichi on the Mei still. That Mei wall, I mean, on this map, how effective is it really going to be, Kenobi?
You saw there it could be a little bit effective. They were able to separate some people, and really what you want to do with this wall is separate people enough so where the Pharah can get a really good direct rocket onto multiple people, and that's really how you're going to get that value. X-Black very close to this barrage, but Aztec is basically playing a sniper by himself. We saw him earlier get that kill, and now gets the kill on the Fenley.
Yeah, finds the Pharah first, then the Widowmaker. Now Cloud, shield bashing Zaichi. X-Black. I mean, this is the problem, I think, with Pharah on offense and Route 66. It's like if you're gonna try and get any kills, you're so out in the open, you pretty much get sniped like every single time here. Aztec really making it so impossible for X-Black to get any kind of lane at all, any line of sight at all, and ReStart just farming ultimates as a result off of Alter Ego.
But X-Black does have this barrage ready for him, but look out for Pika to try and eat this, because that's really what's going to be their win. They're just going to go actually just try and rush right in here onto the backline. Valkyrie is popped, and Mei is getting dangerously low.
Oh, and they're going to use the pile driver to keep everyone in place for the barrage for X-Black. I like the idea, but it doesn't play out as well as Alter Ego hoped. They do get the barrage kill on the Cloud, but it's certainly not enough to win the fight and get the payload.
Yeah, and again, I talked about it. Pika really had to be the one to eat that barrage, and very great presence of mind for him to put up that Matrix. Fenley's in the back line trying to get some exit frags. Probably going to go down himself, but Aztec is down, and Aztec has been really the one fragging for ReStart, so this might be what Alter Ego needs with all these ultimates that they have coming online.
Alter Ego, now King Kong, about to have the minefield. I mean, Alter Ego they refuse to switch off of this composition. And ReStart has no qualms with that. I mean, really, right now, they're in full control. They're about to have so many ultimates now. Almost 5 ultimates to go for ReStart. Alter Ego only has 3. Fenley just popped their eyes, though. Graviton, a solo grab onto Jan, forcing out the Transcendence there. I'd say that's a pretty good trade here, as Alter Ego could use the Transcendence to help usher themselves onto the payload. Now they don't have that option anymore. Alter Ego, with only the minefield, really doesn't have a way to actually approach on ReStart. If they pop the minefield, that could be a way to maintain control of the payload, or at least get the kill on the Reinhardt. You know, just commit without using the ultimate nonetheless. And ReStart actually, slowly but surely, losing the payload.
Yeah, and Alter Ego might get ReStart here might get one last recontest. Actually, Aztec gets an exit frag onto Jam 17. That's pretty huge. ReStart has to get back to this point very, very quickly, though. It's not actually going to move that fast, so ReStart can get one recontest. Unfortunately, they don't have the ultimates that they need to win, as King Kong and X-Black have both of theirs. So it's going to be an ultimate battle. Alter Ego seems to have the advantage going into this next fight.
Yep. Oh, and ReStart, gonna block this off with the Mei wall, then the barrage, but a majority of that barrage is eaten up by the Matrix. Nevertheless, Cloud does go down. And there's really no one there for ReStart to contest. Alter Ego is just gonna mosey their way downtown and get that first checkpoint. And Alter Ego, they're making it work. They have the triple DPS with the Winston, and now they have McCree as well. They have a Pharah, Mei, Widowmaker, McCree, Hammond, Mercy. What am I watching?
Welcome to Chinese Contenders, where the comps are made up and the meta doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. We're seeing quad DPS. Even when we see quad DPS on this map, this isn't really the version we see of it. We see more different types of comp. We see sometimes Soldier instead. And now we see the Hammond as well. And this is just an interesting and weird composition coming out from Alter Ego.
Interesting and weird, Kenobi.
It seems to be working.
We are some in like alternate reality right now of Overwatch, where it's Contenders China and Alter Ego literally just hitting tab and just pressing buttons, and whatever sticks. They're just rolling face here on their keyboards, composition wise. And all right, let's see if it works for him, Kenobi. I'm very excited. They're moving in, using the Hammond to disrupt ReStart, and then getting out of dodge. They had the Blizzard. Hopefully it doesn't get eaten again by Pika. X Black is about 3/4 of the way to a barrage. They get a D-Mech Wands neck, or D-Mech Pika, that is. And Wands finds a kill on a Fenley. Aztec on Zaishi just as the Blizzard. I believe that got eaten, actually. I didn't hear a May Blizzard get a land. So that got eaten again, I believe. And I believe despite these changes, Alter Ego struggling to maintain until a kill from X Black from the barrage finds Raphael. That could be enough to maintain here. Once finds Jan, though, nonetheless. ReStart. Both teams, ReStart and Alter Ego, kind of trading bodies, but Alter Ego in control of the payload still, Kenobi, just above the minute mark.
And this is just a complete mess of a fight that we just saw there. Transcendence is going out left and right, flanking Maze into the backline, getting kills on the supports. No one is safe against this main, against this pile driver. And now Fenley switching over to that Sombra, playing something that's not the Widowmaker. So much backline threat from this composition that it's going to be very hard for the supports to even live.
Nope, and X Black getting bolstered up here by the Mercy. Wands finds the kill on the May with the minefield, cutting them off of the rest of the team. And they see that Sombra friendly, or they see the Sombra Pika, or Cloud that is, Jesus. Pika gets the self-destruct that is, and finds a kill onto King Kong. Fenley going down, Alter Ego, just like that, getting separated, and their tanks and chunkier characters going down, allowing the squish, or leaving the squishies to get cleaned up by ReStart. And now Alter Ego, less than 30 seconds remaining on the clock.
I like that Raphael is switched over to this Winston here. Winston is a great counter to these quad DPS setups. You can dive in, do a lot of damage, especially since the only healer for Alter Ego is that Mercy up in the sky. The self-destruct comes out, doesn't find what it wants.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this composition. I mean, this is probably almost pretty evident here, but Alter Ego really doesn't have, anything to keep their DPS alive. There aren't, there's just one tank, and once King Kong goes down, that's very little they can do. Fenley, though, on the Doomfist, they switched over, so again, trying to make these changes, and X Black trying to make the most of the situation, but there's no one there to keep them alive through the barrage. They will find the kill on the Aztec when they go down to Cloud. Now, a May Blizzard here for Alter Ego. Zaishi throwing it down, super low, but...
What's the saying again, Rusher? Hammond mines were there, too.
So we're going to a fourth and final attempt here for the series. It will be ReStart. All they have to do is get halfway through the map. It'll be all over, folks.
That's basically, yeah, that's what they have to do. And I'm interested to see if Alter Ego is going to stick to really what they've been playing so far, this quad DPS comp with the Hammond and with the solo healing Mercy. It looks like they're just going to do just that, except they're going to put Jan 17 on this Junkrat here. I mean, just... all the heroes are just fair game right now for this match. Just anything you want to play. If it's on that board, Rapture, you can just play it, except for Ashe because she's not in the game yet.
Not on this patch. I will say Alter Ego. That wasn't like the harshest of Cloud9's, I guess, because the May Blizzard didn't really get anybody. Like ReStart didn't really get caught in it, so Alter Ego couldn't really follow up on it. Still a crappy situation. They're sticking on the quad DPS on defense. Alter Ego, at this point, I think they're kind of just playing around the sandbox here. They're trying to figure out, or they really just playing around, or they're trying something new, or they're trying just why not, because they know they've already kind of lost the series. But Kenobi, ReStart going, they might even be popping with the Hanzo potentially here.
I think Aztec here is just going to use this Hondo to Sonic and see what's coming out. We saw him hovering Widow a little bit, which I would be interested to see because Aztec played a pretty good Zenyatta in that last round, was getting some good frags, but it looks like it's just going to be a standard dive here coming out from ReStart. Going to be playing Hammond, one's on this Hammond, and Raphael going to be on this Winston, so double basically main tech. Actually, Aztec looks like he's just going to stick onto this Hanzo. This is so cool to see an off-support playing a Hanzo. They usually play the Tracers, but now he's going to be playing that Hanzo, and I can't wait to see what he does with it.
Oh, and I was going to say, they pretty much realized there, you get so much value getting rid of the Far Mercy in the air, and using that arrow there to get rid of the Mercy there, the rapid fire, but I mean, that's pretty much all they can really get. Win-Win does find Aztec with the res, restart. Oh, Pika getting rid of Jan as Fenley really doesn't have a good line of sight to stop the bleeding. King Kong goes down to Pika. Zaishi finds ones, but restart in full control here as Alter Ego super low on anyone who could really hold any kind of sight line except Fenley. Fenley getting bolstered right back up, and they have their ultimate pop, so they know exactly where to look. X-Black forcing the Hanzo back about halfway to Barrage as well. But restart, they can really take this slow and steady here, Kenobi. Not much time to work. I mean, they have less than 30 minutes, but they still have a lot of time to work with. And they're going to take some shots, lick their wounds, take some bruises here, go back to spawn and retry.
But actually, though, Fenley is popping off on this Widowmaker. Nothing to contest him, hitting some really good headshots here. We had talked about it earlier, how this is kind of his map where he plays this Widowmaker on defense, and that's where he's really shined the most on this Widowmaker. And here, getting basically 5 headshots on that last fight. Great play from him, forcing Raphael to switch over to the Widowmaker himself to try and counter something, as some Dragons come out missing the mark just a bit.
Yeah, but I would say that kind of disrupt Alter Ego a little bit. They're all separated. Oh, and Cloud finds X-Black, and there's no Hammond to help out. Sago has to use the res, but now there's no res for the next pick Raphael gets, if they can get one in time. Oh, hesitating for just a moment, looking for the far, whiffs both shots. Those are huge misses. Oh, and it gets cut down by Fenley. Counterpart finds it, but Aztec, all right, just desserts, has a taste of their own medicine there for Alter Ego. Now the self-destruct EMP coming out as well. Both teams popping everything they can and restart with the Pika with the self-destruct and off the EMP from Cloud. Great combination. Alter Ego has to run to cover, but can they make it? I don't believe the majority of them can. They're gonna hit the ground into the graveyard.
Gosh, Aztec.
Yes, and there it is. Alter Ego getting forced back there with the combination. EMP self-destruct, restart. Now it's 4 minutes on the clock, and they only need to get halfway, or they really just got to finish up this second phase here, Kenobi, and that's it. They take the series.
This is like a battle of who can pop off the most between Aztec and between Fenley, and now it looks like Aztec has taken the upper hand. Dragons going up to the top here. Might not, just probably a zoning ultimate. Gets the main ice block. Oh, and he's just waiting Rapture. He misses the shot. Unlucky.
And Alter Ego, they have actually, unlike other fights, most that we expect from them, have actual ultimates to use here. They have 4. No High Noon or Valkyrie, though, but I mean, the Barrage from X-Blacks have been pretty consistently made, maybe not pretty consistently landed. This could definitely be an opportunity for X-Black to finally get clutch with them. We'll see. As Aztec is really making it hard for Alter Ego to even contest it all. Cloud finds King Kong. Alter Ego's only tank going down before the fight really gets started. It's gonna be up to Zaishi as that kind of like semi-tank to get something done, but Aztec can't even keep them alive for much longer. It just puts them down for the count. X-Black gets put down as well. Oh, the Battle Mercy finding Aztec and then getting the res in X-Black. Could that be enough to stop this? Alter Ego, though, getting back just in time, but Restart has the player advantage here. Less than 5 meters to go, and X-Black's Barrage isn't even able to do it, and the Far Mercy is unable to even touch it there in time. Restart takes it unequivocally 4-0.
I know that we saw, this game was a little bit of an interesting game, but at the end there, we saw something that was actually really cool that I'd love to commend Restart for doing. We saw Aztec was getting frozen by that Mei, and then the Mercy and the Diva came to peel for him. The Mercy actually stood in front of the Hanzo to try and body block the shots that were going to be going to his head if the Diva Matrix wasn't there in time. That was some really cool play, something that you don't sometimes see teams do too much. Using that Mercy basically to body block headshots like that. Really nice play and really understanding of Aztec is our carry potential right now. We need to keep him alive at all costs.
And unfortunately for Alter Ego, not paying off in the long run. Restart, yeah, playing very well.
Their
4
first win.
maps. Their first win. Definitely a good day for Restart. So a solid morning for us, afternoon, evening for them. That's just the first match here. Broadcast.gg's coverage of Contenders China Season 3 2018 Week 4 Day 1. Don't go anywhere. 2 more matches on the way. But first, we got to throw it over to the analysts. Let's see what they have to say. Gio, take it away.
Guys, really big day for ReStart. Coming into this matchup, we knew that combined these two teams only had one map win, and now ReStart have taken the big 4-0 on Alter Ego. But that does mean that Alter Ego now cannot make it into playoffs. What do we think about this?
I mean, for me personally, it's still a show's tale. Like, they still have a few matches. Again, like I said at the beginning of this the series, that most of these players still have a chance to show their worth for a multitude of teams, opening for a trial spot for maybe a lot better teams that are doing well in contenders for the next season, or for different teams, different prospects for Owl and such like that. Because at the end of the day, Alter Ego still had some bright spots, and they showed us that there on Route 66. It was a 4-0 indeed, but not without Alter Ego at least showing us what they got today.
Well, one thing that our casters mentioned at the end there was the fact that there was this kind of carry potential on Aztec, and in these last two maps we did see him come out on some of the kind of flex DPS roles and not just sticking to the flex support. We saw a Widowmaker, we saw a Hanzo. What do we think about DPS version of Aztec?
I feel like Aztec over the second half in general was playing much better than he did in the first. During halftime, we talked about how he was a little bit slow to farm through his trances, wasn't quite getting the damage output on the Zenyatta would expect from some of the other Zens in this region. He definitely stepped it up throughout Hanamura, was able to put out a lot more damage, get a couple picks, farm up his trance much more effectively, and then again, moving on to this Hanzo as well, you'd been mistaken for thinking he was one of the premier DPS players, and for Alter Ego, who kind of lacking, have actually lost Terra Cookie, who we were talking about in the pre-game, why he wasn't playing today. He has left the roster. That was one of the main strengths, having that synergy between him and King Kong, so not being able to, sorry, ReStart, sorry, Aztec plays for, happens to the best of us. But yeah, you're definitely right. Aztec, after having a little bit of a slow start today, was showing up a lot towards the end of the series on both the Zenyatta and on this Hanzo pick.
Yeah, definitely. Panda, would you agree?
Oh, I would definitely agree. We actually saw when Alter Ego were about to capture the first point, Aztec was still on the Zenyatta. Like we were mentioning, his flexibility definitely came through. But what was most impressive to me is, as in his dying moment, though it did get resurrected in the end, he got a snap Discord orb and a snap headshot onto the Pharah as he was going down too. I mean, that's just really good play altogether. We were making the joke as we were watching this game too, is that it's still flex support at the end of the day. So there's a lot of different things that these players have up their sleeves as far as carry potential, where we see that flex support end up going over to a Roadhog on certain maps such as Junkertown, or a multitude of situations with Widowmaker, Tracer even, for different regions. Aztec came out on the Hanzo, taking that projectile base from his Zenyatta play and transitioning it well over to that Hanzo. Giving that scouting potential with the Sonic Arrow is always a good thing to bring to the table altogether, and he really showed us there on Route 66. When in doubt, you can definitely come out on those fancy, flashy heroes, but when it's played to a comfort level like that too, you're really making an impact.
Yeah, you say that sometimes they have to come out on heroes like Tracer. We actually saw Jan 17 on the side of Alter Ego have to do that when Jiazi ended up cutting him off on their attack on Hanamura with his own Mei wall. What do we think about Jiazi's Mei play? Because that's all we saw him play.
It was interesting. I could definitely see the idea they were going with for a lot of their pushes, and they did occasionally actually pull it off. But overall, it felt like a crutch more than anything. Alter Ego kind of hoping the cute little play of running the Mei might catch ReStart off guard, and they went out the series. They can pick up a couple maps that way. I'm not a fan of how well they were able to actually execute it. I could see what the idea was a lot of the time, and sometimes the execution was there, but overall it just seemed a bit disoriented, not actually being able to execute the composition effectively.
Mei itself is a very interesting pick altogether. I mean, we even heard Kenobi say during the broadcast on Hanamura, just like, well, nah, you're just caught out by yourself. And although Mei is really good for stall tactics, when you're bringing it out on an attack such as Hanamura, it gets a little janky, right? Like, you can wall off your teammates, and although Jan 17 coming back on the Tracer was a huge bright spot for us, it was kind of forced in a way, because you get cut off by that wall, and it's those little missed timings that could really stop your team in its tracks and give a lot of ult charge over to the enemy team when you didn't necessarily mean to. So it's a high risk, high reward. But we've seen picks like that come through in the past, such as Doomfist, and we've questioned it before in a game like Overwatch. But now look at Doomfist here, and now it's like the most insane thing. So anything's really possible. You just need to implement it properly. Cut off the damage with the walls, move quickly with the Lucio speed boost, and attack the objective as one.
Well, before we wrap this game up, I think it's very much worth mentioning the kind of compositions that we saw come out on Route 66. I mean, what we had, the what's known as the Dotes comp, which is of course where you have the Winston and the Wrecking Ball instead of a Diva and a Reinhardt on a Goats, which we saw a lot come out from Team UK in the World Cup. We had quad DPS. I mean, what was going on here? Because Route 66 typically like very tank heavy map.
We did see a lot of teams running these triple, even quad DPS compositions on Route 66. The idea is that you use the map geometry around the first point where you've got these sharp turns where there's plenty of little hidey holes inside the buildings and the tunnels. It's kind of like the opposite logic of when we see teams go for a quad tank hold. If you have so much damage, so much burst damage that you can easily chunk targets down and kill them before they can touch you, then you don't need to sustain. It definitely not the first time we've seen it running in China. I was a little bit more impressed with how ReStart were able to pull it off. Again, that goes back to Aztec having that flexibility, being able to pull out the Hanzo. But it was an interesting compositional choice, to say the least.
I will say this at the end of the day, when you're coming out on the triple tank, triple support dive, like ReStart was offering at the end, the Hamster, Diva, Winston combination, it's very powerful in a way. When we were first introduced to GT Dive, when we were watching it for the first year of Overwatch competitive in its inception, it's something beautiful at the end of the day when you see all attackers follow up on the same target at once, because that's really at the end of the day what it's about. This game is all about teamwork and communication, and if ReStart continue to offer that and play as synergistic as they were today, and certain scenarios play out in this group, we could end up seeing them kind of sneak their way into playoffs in the weeks to come. They look pretty strong on those compositions.
Well, yeah, it was a good day for ReStart. Maybe not quite so much for Alter Ego, but that will be it for our first game today. Our next game will be Team CC versus Lingani Sports, which is going to be a pretty big one. So don't go anywhere, but we will be throwing to a quick break before we come back for that.